All the Right Marketing, where we talk with business owners and industry leaders about marketing their programs and products, in particular children's books. Our guests share tips that help anyone who loves a story, whether you're a librarian, bookseller, author, or publisher. The truth of the matter here is that the advice coming out of these conversations are for creative marketing across many different industries. Today, we have a guest, Suhani Parikh, who set out to write her debut children's book. She knew it had to be based on her experience growing up as an Indian American girl with alopecia. This led her to the formation of Modern Marigold Books, an independent publishing company creating own voice children's books that discuss identity, culture, and communal responsibility. Welcome, Suhani.
Hi, Maria. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to share your story and your journey with our listeners. So let's start out by talking about the fact that your company is called Modern Marigold Books, but you are allergic to flowers.
I know, it's the funniest. It's the funniest thing. So I'm actually it's the crazy thing because I'm obsessed with flowers. Like, I love flowers to my core. I just love how they look. I love how they smell. I love how they brighten up a room and what they mean and all of that. But I'm terribly allergic. Like, I have the most severe reaction to pesticides, especially commercial pesticides, the kind that they, spray on flowers and vegetables and fruits. And it's terrible. My face like swells up like a balloon. And so even though I've loved flowers my whole life, I can never enjoy flowers at all. And my dad used to plant like tulips for like organic tulips for me, and these like white flowers used to grow like on our fence, like, and so I have these wonderful memories with flowers that my dad has created for me. But outside of that, like, I could never shop for like a flower bouquet. I cannot accept flowers. Like, it's just like one of those things. But it's, I love them so much. When I was thinking of a company name, I was like, oh, I have to work flowers into this somehow. Like, I need to, and it's kind of my way of like overcoming this, I guess, like, fighting this allergy that I have, and being able to really enjoy flowers even more. Now it's just a part of what I do every day. So
That's so sweet. And let's kind of transition into your journey. So you actually started writing yourself, and which is kind of how I started in the industry as well. And I think it's a great way because you have a really good understanding of the role of an author and what they experience creating a story, working with a publisher, etc. So tell us a little bit about your story that you wrote and how you came to be in the role of publisher now.
yeah, so it's been a really long, windy sort of journey, and I didn't really plan to become a publisher in the beginning. I started Modern Marigold Books to publish. Well, I set out to publish my own children's books because I had these stories I really wanted to tell. And I originally started wanting to write a novel, but because I was a new mom at the time and I was just doing like reading kids books all the time, and I was in that new mom mode, um, all I could think of were different like ideas for kids books. And so I was like, let me just focus on this. Let me just do it. And it all just flowed very naturally out of me. And I wrote a few different stories, and I knew I wanted to put them all in one place. And so I was like, all right, let me create a company to kind of publish these all under. And I did that. So that's how Modern Marigold Books really came to exist. And then from there, I'm a big learner. Like, I love to learn about different things. And I'm like one of those like jack of all trades kind of people. So I like to have my hands in like different things here and there. So this is kind of like a great position for me to be in because I'm always doing something different throughout the day. And so I learned a lot about the publishing industry, how it works, how books are made, how books are created. And in publishing my first 3 books, I kind of got my feet wet. And then about halfway or close to the end of last year, I was approached by an author. And at that point, I hadn't really even considered publishing other authors' works because I knew that was like a whole other thing to learn about. And I was like, let me get my 3 books out there first. But she presented me with this incredible story. And I was like, this is such a great fit for Modern Marigold Books and a great way to break into being in the role of a publisher. And so
what story was that? Can I interrupt and ask what
yeah,
story?
of course. That story is called Dancing Baby. We're actually it's being released for pre-order in a couple of weeks. So we're gearing up for that, and it'll be released. I just pushed it. So the spring of 2022 is when that'll come out, or actually February.
Okay.
So that's the first book that we're publishing of another author's. And it's been such a fantastic process working with the author on this. And it's sort of given me my framework of how I work as a publisher. And now I've signed my second author and I'm talking to a few more. So it's really just kind of rolled forward from there. And it's been incredibly rewarding, even more so than creating my own books, is, taking these books that other authors have written that are really authentic, genuine, wonderful stories and bringing them to life for kids.
And one of the things that we focus on here is marketing. And so the whole concept of marketing is taking a product and trying to get the message out there about the product. Right. And I think what really drew me to your company is that the authenticity of your stories. And so tell us a little bit more about those stories. And I asked you, are all of the stories from an Indian American author? And you said no, but tell me more, a little bit more about how you find the right author and how you take that story and share the message.
Yeah, so I'm not really looking for authors that are necessarily Indian American only. That's sort of where I started because I'm Indian American and my first author happened to be Indian American. My the second author I signed, her name is Fatima. She is Pakistani American, and so I'm definitely not just looking to serve the South Asian community through Modern Marigold Books. This company is, now I see it creating books for all communities and all children. And I really hope to influence mainstream children's literature in that way and add more diverse, authentic, own voice stories to to libraries and schools and homes.
And that's what I love that you're doing, because you're filling this niche that, what is the company, Lee and Low Books, they come out with that survey and they just redid it, I think a year or two ago. And the numbers are just so depressing when you see the representation in children's books. So you're taking these stories and you're really sharing them not only with their own communities, not only with the South Asian community, but you're saying, hey, the rest of the children in the United States, let yourself take a dive into another community and culture by reading this book. And I love that, because that's how children develop empathy.
And also, it's a way that kids can see that they're not just different from other people who look and are from different backgrounds than they are, but very similar also. There are so many similarities. Like my third book, A Sandwich and Samosa, is a great depiction of that, right? It's about how all of these kids come from very different backgrounds and they eat different kinds of foods at home. And they learn that, there are a lot of these like shared experiences within those differences, right? Where like they visit family that is in different countries and they have similar traditions at home, but just done in a different way. And it's a way to see how, like, yes, we're all different and our differences should be celebrated and embraced and appreciated, but also how we're oddly so similar in so many ways. And it just brings us all that much closer together and more unified as a, global community, right?
A global community. And one of the ways I'm noticing you are helping your authors to market their messages is you're giving them some ownership of the process. And I think in doing so, we can talk a little bit more about that. So for those listening who are in the publishing companies, if they're either publishing companies or you're editors or you're on the marketing team, Suhani is bringing her authors through the process and saying, tell me more about your character, right? So you're taking art notes from the author and you're giving them to the illustrator, and they're actually signing off on illustrations, correct?
They are. They're even part of the illustrator selection process. So the one thing, even before illustrations start, is I look at what the story is, what the background of the author is, and I find an illustrator who's not just talented, but also from that either same community or that's connected and has a connection in some way to what the book is about. Because I really feel like in picture books, there are those two elements that work side by side, right? You have the words and then you have the artwork. And if, one part is from that, that specific community, but the other one doesn't have a connection to it at all, you're not going to make such a strong impact through that, right? Like if you have, versus where if you have like, both parties are connected to that same message in the same way. And so that's really where it starts from. And then once and then so I hopefully try to find like a couple of different options for the author to choose from and say like, hey, like these are a couple different styles we could go with. What do you think? And they're along with me the entire ride. I mean, they do the editing with the editor, and that's their thing, and they present me with the final story. And before that, if they want any help like kind of hashing it out, I work with them on it because I'm a writer too and I enjoy that process. But then yeah, with the illustrations, they're in the front seat when it comes to what the character is wearing, to how the character's hair looks, to the color of their skin or their appearance, their name, like everything. And I think that's really important because it's not just about creating a diverse story, right? It's about creating the story that the author set out to write.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I think, I don't have this like very long career in publishing, but I've heard the horror stories from other authors, and I've read the articles about, the different experiences that authors have faced with different publishers. And I think that's, you know, making sure that the author and the author's vision for the story comes to life is the most important part of creating a picture book at the end of the day, right? Because if you're not doing that, then it's not really the own voice story that it was meant to be. And it's not that diverse story that it was meant to be.
I like to take notes while we're doing interviews. I made a note that you are truly like pioneering a modern way of publishing by taking, because just to be clear, this is not, and I'm not real sure, it's not a hybrid press, is it? You're not
No,
operating
it's
a
not.
hybrid press.
The author gives me their story and I create the entire thing and I pay for every element.
Yes, traditional press. So you're really bringing like a modern way of publishing to the traditional publishing industry, which I believe by giving that author the chance to invest in not only the story, but the artwork and the creation of the entire story, they're going to feel more connected to the story. And when it comes time to market and share the message, you're going to have them backing you up, and you're going to have them right alongside you, shouting to the mountaintops that this story is being released. And I think
that's also another way that I try to guide my authors too, is I've worked with some marketing teams in the past. And so I connect the author with those marketing teams, and they sort of help prepare them for, just different elements that they need, like how to start marketing yourself as an author, how to start building a community before your book is released. And that's something that started like around the time the illustrations start. So they were working on that for a year and getting their ducks in a row on their end. And so hopefully by the time that the book releases, we have a really strong community to reach out to, and we have strong connections to lean on. And yeah, it's just, it's still the first one. This is the first release that I'm doing of another author. So we'll see how it all kind of plays out. But with everything, I feel myself like tweaking and getting stronger and seeing like what worked and what didn't work. And so it definitely feel it coming along, and it's wonderful.
That's excellent. And so we do have a lot of aspiring writers and published writers who tune into the episodes on All the Right Marketing. So where, Suhani, can these individuals follow up and find out more about Modern Marigold Press?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. I try to be as active as I can. My handle is at Modern Marigold Books, and then I have a website up, modernmarigoldbooks.com, so you can check out everything from our mission to resources to our shop to when our submission periods are. So
good. Okay. We will put all of that in the show notes. We'll send everyone your way. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking those depressing numbers on the results of diversity and representation in publishing and changing those numbers, making a shift and a dent, and increasing more representation so that our children can truly open a book and see themselves within the pages, no matter who they are and where they live. So thank you very much for being a guest today. And for those of you listening, you know that you can find us every Tuesday. We release a new episode, and we look forward to the next interview. Until then, think outside of the box and don't afraid to reach your audience in new and creative ways. Thank you.